Welcome and anchor down from the Vanderbilt campus. We are back and coming to you with the 8th episode of JT and Zeek on West End. We decided to join the Twitter world today and would appreciate it if you followed us at VU Sports Podcast. You could also probably find us by searching JT and Zeek. And this morning I woke up, rolled out of bed, and heard music. I was like, what could that be at 8 a.m. on a Wednesday? Quickly, I recognized the music as Sandstorm. Could only mean one thing. It's South Carolina week, and we are pumped.
Woo! Let's go.
Ready to get that first SEC win.
Yeah, that Sandstorm tradition that South Carolina does is slowly becoming one of the coolest in the nation. I think their stadium is going to be rocking this Saturday. So much has happened in the past couple of weeks. The South Carolina flood, Steve Spurrier resigning out of nowhere. Those fans are going to be going crazy. It's going to be a true SEC atmosphere, even though South Carolina hasn't played like a true SEC team this year.
Oh, completely agree. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube, do yourself a favor, look up Sandstorm Intro, South Carolina. The whole stadium is bouncing. There's going to be extra emotion from the flood, from Spurrier leaving. South Carolina is going to be ready to play. And they're going to be led into the game by a quarterback who hasn't seen much action but has gotten some reps, Perry Orth. As a starter, he's 37 of 75 for 483 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Yep, that's below 50% on the completion percentage, so I'm pretty optimistic about how our defense is going to look against him. Also, Lorenzo Nunez is someone that's seen some reps at quarterback for them. He's currently listed as questionable, but his rushing attack is very strong, and if he is to play, he could be someone to watch.
Yeah, he would be a good test to see if our defense can hold up against a true rushing quarterback. South Carolina under new head coach, formerly their offensive line coach, Sean Elliott. Also, when you go back to quarterbacks, Connor Mitch was listed as available, whatever that means. Not sure if we're going to see him.
Yeah, he did start the first game for them against North Carolina. Still, he didn't look too great in that. So regardless of who plays at quarterback, I'm not overly concerned. The one thing to really watch out for on South Carolina is Pharaoh Cooper. He's one of the best athletes in the entire conference and can essentially play any role. He can be a running back, get reverses. He can get screen passes, deep passes. He can throw the ball too. So he's someone you need to know where he's on the field every play.
Yeah, I'm looking for Mason to throw a lot of double coverage at Cooper. He's the one guy who can break the game open on South Carolina. If you look at the defensive side of the ball, their best player by far, Sky Moore, great NFL prospect. He has 58 tackles already this year, which is crazy. 3 picks to go on top of that. As a weak side linebacker, those are some pretty insane stats.
It pains me to say it, but he was very close to committing to Vandy. Imagine if we had him in our linebacker core.
It would be pretty cool to go along with Cunningham, go along with Herring once we get Nigel back too. Look at the running back position. This is actually a pretty interesting story that developed over the last couple of weeks. Brandon Wilds was their starting running back at the beginning of the year. Had a couple okay games. And then last week, he was supposed to come back. Spurrier, a quote that he said is, "We allow the player to make the call unless the trainer says he can't go." And apparently he got cleared for the game but decided not to play with his lingering rib injury.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Overall, South Carolina's offense has not been very lethal. They're only averaging 342 yards per game, and their third down efficiency is extremely low. They're 80th in the country, only converting on 37.5% of their third downs. So this is clearly a team that we can shut out.
Oh yeah, you look at their third down offense, 80th in the country. Like Jimmy just said, our third down defense, one of the best in the country, only allowing opponents to convert on 28.2% of their third down attempts, putting us at 16th. Very tough defense, especially when we get down in the red zone also. Vandy, 9th in red zone defense so far this year.
And yeah, I looked it up earlier today. We're 15th overall in rushing defense, and I think we were actually middle of the pack in pass defense. But since the quarterbacks for South Carolina aren't too good, I'm not concerned about that this week. It'll be interesting to see Torrin McGaster against Pharaoh Cooper. Other than that, there aren't too many matchups, offense versus defense, that I'm really looking out for.
You look at either of our great corners, McGaster and Herndon, against him, that should be interesting. Pretty much, if you look down the statistical categories, we have a bunch of them written out. The only one that stands out that we actually aren't ahead of South Carolina in is red zone offense. That's the one thing, week after week, we'd love to see the team improve on. Andy Ludwig listened to his press conference today, said that there's a lot for this team to improve on. I think he's referring to that. Look at offensive yards per game. We average 70 more yards per game than them.
Yeah, I think just due to all of the stats that you already mentioned and the circumstances of this game, the fact that we're only favored by, South Carolina is favored by 2.5, right? And that kind of perplexes me a little bit. I think it should be even just because it's at South Carolina, but I really like our odds this weekend.
Oh yeah, if that game was home, my guess is we'd be 1.5 or maybe even 2-point favorites at home. There's just going to be so much emotion in South Carolina. It's one of those games where you got to survive the initial punch. If we could keep it even in the first half, I'd feel great going into the second half. They're going to be worn out emotionally. The first half, all that emotion can take a lot out of them.
Yeah, and I think our team's going to be playing with a lot of fire too. We're not going to be holding back just because of the floods and the whole Spurrier thing. Something that really angered me is Spurrier, I think it was yesterday, said, "Oh yeah, I could have waited till the bye week to resign, but I'd rather let the interim coach have an easy game to start."
Oh, I think he was afraid. The reason Steve Spurrier resigned, he did not want to play us. He did not want to go out to losing to Vanderbilt, a team which he realized is better in every single aspect than his team.
I hope that is the case. But yeah, moving on, unless you have anything else to say about South Carolina.
I guess you could look at their schedule a little bit. They started off with a win against North Carolina. North Carolina's 4-1 this year. Haven't really played anybody, but they're still a good team. The only other win South Carolina has is against UCF. UCF, frankly, is awful. They're 0-6 this year. They've lost to Tulane and Furman. They got blown out by UConn. South Carolina really doesn't have much to show except for that first game.
And we've both played Georgia, so that's a good team to compare our performances. And we played Georgia extremely well, and they lost 52-20. So
yeah, our game was a lot closer than the score indicated. South Carolina got blown out.
So I'm very optimistic. As for a prediction against South Carolina, my bold prediction is that Vandy does not let up a touchdown. I'm going to say 3 field goals for South Carolina. And for an offensive prediction, I think we are going to play better in the red zone than we have all season. I think Johnny McCrary throws for 2 touchdowns, and we get 1 field goal. I'm saying 17-9 Vandy. What about you?
I'm looking right in that same range. I'm looking at 10-9 after the half. Final score of 20-16. I think South Carolina scores that 1 touchdown at the end, so the game isn't as close as the score indicates, but I'm looking for Derek Mason to get his first SEC win this weekend.
That's going to be exciting, and I think we're both in agreement that it's going to be a low-scoring game most likely.
Yeah, if I had to come up with a player of the game, I'm looking at the defensive side of the ball. I'm looking at Zach Cunningham. He's a guy who has been an absolute beast the last few weeks. I'm looking for another outing with double-digit tackles out of him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm going to say my breakout player this week, and I know I've hyped him up before in the past, but I'm going to say Trey Bell is going to get 2 interceptions this week. 2 interceptions, Trey Bell.
That's really bold.
It's really bold. I don't know if I even believe it, but I'm saying it anyways.
That would be great. I think Ryan White's going to also play really well. He's getting more and more time every week. He's on the depth chart as the only punt returner now, too. I think we're going to get into the battle round now where we pick games. As of now, neither of us had a great week last week. I'm 9-4 on the season. Jimmy, after a really rough start, is starting to catch up. He's at 4-9. Still a lot of games left to be played. The first game we have is the Thursday night game, Auburn at Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm taking Auburn in that one.
I'm going Auburn, too. I still think the West is better than the East. The biggest game of the week, Alabama at Texas A&M.
This is a good one, but Johnny Football is not playing in it. I think A&M's reign is going to end, and Bama is going to show that they are the top SEC team.
I'm going to go with a letdown from Bama. I think A&M gets their big win to put them really onto the national stage as a title contender.
All right, next up we have Florida at LSU.
I'm going to go with LSU for this one. Will Grier suspended. Another situation going on with their cornerback with some kind of aggravated assault. Distractions. It's at LSU. I think Fournette's going to have a good game. LSU.
I believe linebacker Antonio Morrison is also out for Florida. I'm taking LSU in this one, but I think people are still underrating Florida. I think it will be a close one.
Okay. Missouri at Georgia is the next game we have.
I have to take Georgia in this one. I hope that Georgia rallies around the injury to Nick Chubb. I feel awful for the guy. Hopefully someone like Keith Marshall can step up for them, or Sony Michel.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Georgia as well. Nick Chubb, one of the best players in the country, but if there's a team that can overcome that, it's Georgia. Their running back depth is just insane. Playing at home, there's going to be a lot of emotion there too. I'm going with Georgia.
All right, and last we have Michigan State at Michigan. Who are you taking in that?
Going out of the conference for this one, I'm going to go Michigan. Jim Harbaugh really leading that team. They've been playing so well recently. I think they've had 3 shutouts in a row now. Northwestern was supposed to be a good team, and they just made them look silly. I'm going Michigan at home.
Yeah, last week I made the mistake of picking Northwestern while playing in the Big House. I was wrong, and upon further thought, I really think Michigan is the best team in the Big Ten, and they're going to prove it against an overrated Michigan State. Michigan's winning that one.
All right, so that's all we have this week. Once again, if you could follow us at VU Sports Podcast or search JT and Zeek, that would be great. We'll come back after the game to recap, talk about what happened, and look forward to the next week.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in, and anchor down.
Anchor down.